Ever wonder what separates the legends from the rest? The fighters who don't just compete, but define an era, leaving a lasting impact on the sport of MMA. Today we're diving deep into the 15 most iconic fighters that had an era in the UFC. These athletes not only dominated but changed the game forever. Some of these names are legends, while others were simply untouchable in their prime. Ready to relive some unforgettable moments? Let's start at number 15. Number 15. Royce Gracie, the godfather of MMA. When Royce Gracie stepped into the Octagon at UFC 1, he didn't just compete. He introduced the world to a new art form, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. At a time when many fighters relied on brute strength, Gracie's mastery of grappling allowed him to defeat opponents much larger and stronger. His victories over Ken Shamrock and other legends showcased that technique could triumph over size and force. Royce's era was the birth of modern MMA, and his impact is still felt today in every fighter who taps out to a submission. Gracie's legacy solidified the notion that the UFC was not just about violence, but skill and strategy. Number 14. Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man. Ken Shamrock was one of the original faces of the UFC, a fighter whose intensity and raw power helped set the tone for the sport's early years. A pioneer in combining different fighting styles, Shamrock was known for his leg submissions, including the knee bar and ankle lock, which ended many fights in brutal fashion. His legendary rivalry with Royce Gracie at UFC 1 and later bouts with Tito Ortiz made him an icon of the sport. Shamrock's era wasn't just about victories, though. He brought legitimacy to mixed martial arts, blending his experiences in professional wrestling and real combat into something new and ferocious. Number 13. Tito Ortiz. The Huntington Beach Bad Boy. Tito Ortiz didn't just dominate his opponents, he dominated headlines. Known for his punishing ground and pound, Ortiz was the UFC's poster boy during its climb to mainstream success in the early 2000s. His reign as the longest light heavyweight champion at the time, with 5 successful title defenses, cemented him as one of the most formidable fighters in the organization's history. His heated rivalries, particularly with Ken Shamrock and Chuck Liddell, added layers of drama and excitement to every bout. Ortiz's charisma, love him or hate him persona, and relentless style made his era unforgettable. Number 12. Chuck Liddell, the Iceman. With his mohawk and cold stare, Chuck the Iceman Liddell became one of the most feared knockout artists in UFC history. His fights were can't-miss events, especially when his trademark overhand right connected, often leading to brutal knockouts. Liddell ruled the light heavyweight division between 2004 and 2006, captivating fans with his wild, brawling style and ability to keep the fight standing. His legendary rivalries with Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz are etched in UFC folklore. Liddell's era was one of excitement and unpredictability. Anyone who stepped into the Octagon with him knew they were only one punch away from defeat. Number 11. Randy Couture. The Natural. Randy Couture was more than just a fighter. He was the epitome of strategy and discipline. As a multiple-time champion in both the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions, Couture defied age and expectations, winning titles well into his 40s. His wrestling was suffocating, and his ability to adapt his game plan mid-fight made him a nightmare for any opponent. Whether it was his trilogy with Chuck Liddell or his shocking comeback against Tim Sylvia to win the heavyweight belt, Couture's era was defined by his ability to outthink and outlast younger, stronger foes. His nickname, The Natural, wasn't just for show. It perfectly described his effortless domination inside the Octagon. Number 10. Matt Hughes, the wrestling powerhouse. Matt Hughes embodied raw power and determination in the welterweight division. Known for his slams and relentless wrestling, Hughes held the welterweight title twice and defended it a total of 9 times. making him one of the most dominant champions in UFC history. His rivalries with Georges St-Pierre and BJ Penn were legendary, but perhaps no moment defined his career more than his iconic slam of Frank Trigg in their second fight. Hughes didn't just beat his opponents, he overpowered them, using his wrestling background to control and punish everyone who dared stand in his way. Number 9. BJ Penn, the Prodigy. BJ Penn, known as the Prodigy, was a fighter with an unparalleled skill set. A natural talent in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Penn became the first American to win a world title in the sport before transitioning to MMA, where he quickly established himself as a force. His dominance in the lightweight division between 2008 and 2010 was remarkable, capturing the belt and defending it multiple times with a mix of sharp boxing and devastating grappling. Penn was also a rare two-division champion, a feat that few have accomplished. His willingness to fight anyone, anywhere, made him one of the most respected and feared fighters of his era. Number 8. Ronda Rousey, the pioneer of women's MMA. Ronda Rousey didn't just break into the UFC, she kicked the door down. As the organization's first-ever women's champion, Rousey brought women's MMA to the forefront with her rapid-fire finishes and undeniable star power. Her judo throws and signature armbar submissions were devastating as she finished her first 12 fights, most in under a minute. Defending her belt 6 times, Rousey's reign was one of dominance and fear. But her legacy goes beyond the Octagon. She changed the perception of women in combat sports, inspiring a generation of female fighters and helping to elevate the sport to new heights. Number 7. Georges St-Pierre, the perfect technician. Georges St-Pierre, fondly known as GSP, was the definition of a complete fighter. His ability to seamlessly blend striking, wrestling, and grappling made him nearly unbeatable during his reign in the welterweight division. Between 2008 and 2013, GSP defended his title 9 times, mastering every aspect of MMA. His tactical genius allowed him to outstrike strikers and out-wrestle wrestlers. Perhaps even more impressive was his ability to avenge every loss in his career, showing that GSP was not only a champion, but a perfectionist. His era was about control, intelligence, and executing the perfect game plan in every fight. Number 6. Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Eagle. Khabib Nurmagomedov's undefeated record of 29-0 remains one of the most astonishing achievements in UFC history. From 2018 to 2020, Khabib reigned supreme in the lightweight division, using his relentless wrestling to dominate every opponent. His suffocating pressure and unmatched ground control made him an unsolvable puzzle. Khabib's legacy is not just in his dominance, but in the way he carried himself. Respectful outside the octagon, but merciless inside it. His emotional retirement after the death of his father only further solidified his era as one of honor and unmatched dominance. Number 5. Conor McGregor, the Notorious One. Conor McGregor is perhaps the most polarizing figure in UFC history. His meteoric rise, built on precision striking and unparalleled confidence, culminated in his iconic 13-second knockout of Jose Aldo to become the featherweight champion. Not satisfied with one belt, McGregor went on to capture the lightweight title, becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 belts simultaneously. His trash talk, mind games, and charisma made him a global superstar. But McGregor's era was about more than words. His sharp left hand and ability to back up his talk in the octagon made him one of the most dangerous and exciting fighters the UFC has ever seen. Number 4. Demetrious Johnson, Mighty Mouse. Demetrious Mighty Mouse. Johnson is often overlooked, but his reign as flyweight champion is unmatched. Holding the belt for nearly 6 years and defending it a record 11 times, Johnson was a master of every facet of MMA. His speed, fight IQ, and ability to adapt to any opponent made him almost untouchable. One of the most creative fighters in the sport, DJ's flying armbar against Ray Borg remains one of the greatest submissions ever seen. Johnson's era was defined by excellence, creativity, and a level of technical mastery rarely seen in the Octagon. Number 3. Anderson Silva, the Spider. Few fighters have ever controlled the Octagon the way Anderson Silva did. For 7 years, Silva reigned as the UFC middleweight champion, using his incredible striking and otherworldly head movement to baffle and destroy opponents. His front kick knockout of Vitor Belfort and his legendary performances against Forrest Griffin and Chael Sonnen stand as some of the most memorable moments in UFC history. Silva's era was marked by creativity and dominance, with his precision striking and ability to toy with opponents making him a legend long before his time as champion ended. Number 2. Daniel Cormier, the double champ. Daniel Cormier's career is one defined by overcoming adversity and proving the doubters wrong. Originally an Olympic wrestler, Cormier entered the UFC as a force in the heavyweight division, but later moved down to light heavyweight, where he won the title and defended it multiple times. Not content with just one belt, Cormier moved back up to heavyweight and shocked the world by knocking out Stipe Miocic to become the second fighter ever to hold 2 belts in different divisions at the same time. His era was about grit, heart, and proving that size and weight are just numbers when skill and determination are involved. Number 1. Jon Jones, the greatest of all time. At number 1, we have Jon Bones Jones, the fighter widely regarded as the greatest of all time. Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history at 23 and dominated the light heavyweight division for over a decade. His creative use of elbows, spinning attacks, and ability to fight at any range made him a nightmare for anyone who stepped into the cage with him. Jones faced the best of the best, Daniel Cormier, Alexander Gustafsson, and more, and defeated them all. His era was marked by unprecedented dominance, with Jones often making elite fighters look ordinary. Despite controversies outside the Octagon, his achievements inside it remain unparalleled. He's the GOAT, no question about it. And that wraps up our list of the 15 most iconic fighters who had an era in the UFC. These legends didn't just fight, they created legacies that will last forever. With that being said, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and let us know who you think we missed in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.